today we'll be discussing a brand new interview from
Yes.
Sakurai that comes from Nintendo Dream. It was just published today in Japan. Well, yesterday, I guess by now.
Past the day.
And it's a quite lengthy interview with seven pages. And so we are still in the process of translating it, but we thought
Please
it would
understand.
be kind of fun to talk about the translation before it goes live on the site.
Yeah, because we've read through most of the article, have an idea of the interesting points that he's brought up.
Yeah, and Maskman and myself, we are translators
Yep,
at
hey.
Source Gaming. So,
Yep.
yay. And Nintendo's here just for the ride
Yep.
to kind of give
Always
extra
welcome.
commentary.
Yeah, there's some pretty exciting stuff in this one,
Yeah.
and so
All right, so let's start off with part one, basically, which is a straight interview on how the development of DLC came
Yeah.
about.
Mhm.
So you led that translation, Maskman, so why don't you introduce that part?
Yeah, they start off by, the Nintendo Dream staff starts by congratulating him on a job well done, bringing together all these fighters, even after the mainline game had finished development. And it is an impressive feat. It's something that's never been done, and they make note of the fact that not only is he bringing all these new fighters to the table, but each one is met with this huge amount of excitement and celebration, both online and in real life. And I think that's really impressive, the way that he's steered the Smash ship post-release.
Yeah, and that's something that's completely unique to Smash. No other fighting game has that much hype surrounded a new
No.
character.
yeah.
Because it literally could be anyone
Right.
for Smash.
Yeah, that's the excitement behind it. Compared to other games like, let's say, Street Fighter V as an example, all the characters that are going to be in it are either brand new or just characters from the previous games, and so you kind of have an idea of what might come. But with Smash, it could literally be anyone from any sort of Nintendo IP or third-party IP.
Yeah, as
And
we've seen,
people have attachment to them.
there are no rules anymore. All limits have been
So-
broken.
So I definitely understand what he means. The only other games I could think of that might have some kind of match to this would be stuff like there was like Jump Ultimate Stars or whatever, which was that fighting game that used all manga characters from Shonen Jump and had all that massive one. I remember when they were doing a sort of newish one to that. Everyone was getting excited over which of the old and new manga characters would be showing up in that. But it's not quite to the same level as it is with Smash Brothers.
No, certainly not.
Because
Yeah.
gaming is so much a bigger thing.
Yeah, there's just so many series to draw
Yeah.
from.
Yeah.
And he makes mention of that too, that as nice as it would be to continue developing characters, because the material exists, but if they were to just keep putting out character after character after character, they'd eventually run through all of Nintendo's IPs and probably a good portion of the third party ones as well.
Yeah, and he says like the excitement for the 100th and first one will be a lot less than the 100th.
Yeah.
Yeah, Super Mugen Bros.
Exactly. Once you get past a certain point, I think it loses the appeal. Or maybe it
Yeah,
doesn't.
which
lose
is
the
why
appeal,
I
but-
keep saying that. I keep saying that with it's going to hit a point in Smash where they're going to have to start cutting characters a bit more. Like, people don't like them cutting characters, but it will get to this ridiculous thing where they've got so many characters in the game that they're going to have to cull some of the less important ones to add new ones
right
in.
before it gets oversaturated.
Yeah. Although,
Yeah.
I did want to state, as someone who has been going through all of Nintendo's IP currently for a recent article, there's still quite a bit to be covered in Smash, especially on the character side of things. Nintendo have quite a lot more IPs than I think Sakurai even realizes.
Yeah, you're actually doing character a day on your Twitter.
Yep, exactly. And I'm pretty sure I have enough unique series to go at least until May, at some point in May.
Damn.
I need to figure it all out properly. But definitely, I'm pretty sure I can get up to May with their unique IP.
Yeah.
Well, I guess at a certain point you just need to there's a limit on who can actually join the battle, because there's some of the characters are just not known at all.
Yeah, like he brings up here Dombi from Shin Onigashima,
Yeah.
who I would like to see in the game, but I do get his reasoning for not putting him in, that nobody knows him outside of Japan.
Yeah. He is cute, blue hair.
Just to clarify, the editor of Nintendo Dream wanted him in Smash, not...
Yeah,
Yeah.
not Sakurai.
Which I thought was funny that he could have tried using his connections, but apparently it didn't pan out.
The latter half of the first part, Sakurai kind of talks about the competitive and the casual scene, and how he's trying to balance the game for both
it sounds
players.
rough.
Yeah, and he has the best line in the whole interview.
Which one's that?
The trying to find where it says it now. Yeah, that's it. When discussing doing competitive, whether it's worth just focusing on 1v1 versus everyone against everyone. Sakurai talks about the community by saying, I think it's hard for a lot of people to understand. And I think that perfectly represents the way that the Smash community acts sometimes towards the way making a game works. Because
the full quote is, I think it's hard for a lot of people to understand. For the people who play For Glory 1v1, that's the extent of their world. They might not understand the reason why other communities exist. At the same time, if Smash were to be developed into a pure one-on-one fighter in which the only strong survive, the people who play Smash just to have a good time would all disappear before you know it.
Exactly.
And I can totally see that if it were a pure, skill-based only fighting experience. I think a lot of the people that just like to crack open a few beers, get together with a couple friends, and take turns yelling at the TV screen as they would with, say, Mario Kart. I think it would be a lot less enjoyable for them.
Yeah, definitely. Because that's a big problem that other fighting games have. I was talking to one of my housemates about Street Fighter V, and they bring up the fact that it's come out now, and a lot of people are complaining about it because there's not that much stuff in it, and there isn't that many characters and all stuff like this.
Yeah.
And that's because it's been released now only specifically aimed at the fighting game community.
Right.
So people who aren't into the fighting game community have bought it and are not enjoying it because there's too little stuff, and they don't know all the mechanics, and the people who bought it to be competitive are just absolutely destroying everyone online.
Yeah.
So people just aren't having a good time, and they put about $40 down or whatever for this purchase.
Yeah, and it is a well-known fighting game franchise, so I think it's inherently geared towards a certain group, but at the same time it sounds like a lot of the offline content is extremely bare bones, and my friend was just complaining about it earlier this evening.
Yeah.
Did you actually see the commercial for Masked Man on Japanese TV? They do actually play up the fact that it's an esports.
Really? Oh, that's impressive.
Yeah. I think the commercial over here is the same thing. It's the one where they're showing it Street Fighter at all the tournaments and stuff, and people
they mention it. They're like, it's a sport too. It's part of the tagline.
Yeah, Capcom doesn't do a lot of huge changes, I think, marketing wise between Japan and US. I could be wrong. No offense, Capcom. I love your games. Yeah. Oh, actually, one more thing about the first part. I thought it was interesting because he was talking about the competitive scene and whatnot, and he also went into discussing about balance and how he's surprisingly removed from the process.
Yeah, he said that he just took a lot of advice from his monitoring team this time around, which is very different from his 64 Melee and Brawl days.
Yeah, a lot of it is very hands-on. I assume that, because of his physical incapacitation, he's not able to play as thoroughly as he used to. Mm-hmm. So it makes total sense that he was a lot more hands-off literally. But at the same time, it's interesting that he just sort of looks at results and then consults with his playtesters to gather the data and make decisions in that sense. Yeah.
It could be a welcoming sign for a lot of the people in the competitive scene, community.
Yeah, because a lot of people say that Sakurai doesn't know what he's doing, etc. Yeah, he does admit that it would be a lot more balanced of a game, of a fighting game, if they were to base everything, all of their balancing decisions, around For Glory style one-on-one. But he then mentions that because as we talked about earlier, there are people who just play the game to have fun and goof around with their friends. In his mind, he doesn't want to make it inaccessible for them. So
don't forget about the beginners. That's basically Sakurai's tagline for life.
Yeah, exactly. He's very
like
very
Kirby,
big on that.
Kirby's Air Ride.
Oh, I love Kirby's Air Ride.
Yeah.
Alright. Well, should we move on to part 2 with the characters?
Yeah, we should.
I believe is next, right?
Okay, so
Is it characters or stages?
yeah, he introduces all the characters one by one.
Kind of giving like their reason for existence.
Yeah, basically for Mewtwo, Lucas, and Roy, it's what we expected being brought back from the previous game.
Mm-hmm. They were the most popular, the ones that he knew. He called them the safe bet.
Mm-hmm.
The ones people would want and buy.
Yeah, they are commodities, so it's important to factor that in.
And plus, like, making sure the fans get what they want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think you will find more people upset, myself included, if Lucas didn't come back than you would if, say, Toon Link, Young Link from Melee didn't come back.
Yeah.
Hey, I like Young Link. I'd have loved him to come back.
Well,
But I guess I am in the minority there.
Sorry.
Ah, well.
And for Mewtwo, they did want to... they couldn't include him in the package game. So
it just wasn't going to happen.
So they decided to include him as DLC.
Did they say why he couldn't be included in the package game, or...?
They just said that it was difficult to include him, so I assume it was a timing issue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's all I could think.
Yeah, they weren't able to get him ready to go in time.
Yeah.
And then the reason that he went with his Y design for his Final Smash is pretty interesting.
Oh, yeah, because of the nature of the attack itself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, psychic attack.
I actually bought Pokemon Y, so I appreciated that one.
Likewise. Yeah, well, Mewtwo X is really ugly, too, so... Or Mega Mewtwo X, I should say.
Yeah, I do prefer it. Well, his Y one is just also more well-known. It's the first one that got released, and everyone thought was Mew 3 until they revealed Megaforce.
Yeah. So I think that...
I mean, that's why I thought they chose that one, but the idea that because he uses psychic attacks also makes a lot more sense.
It's a factor, yeah.
All right, and then let's move on to Lucas, your favorite character, Massman.
Oh, I love him. He's so good.
So one of the interesting tidbits was about the alts.
Yeah, the palette swaps for Lucas. There were a number of additions to his palette swap lineup, including t-shirts with Boney, the dog, Baby Drago, one of the monsters from just outside Tasmiley Village, and then the masked man himself, as it were, all on t-shirts. And funnily enough, it wasn't Sakurai who suggested this, but one of the designers on the team.
Mm-hmm.
Which I thought was great. Good to know that somebody else on the team is a big Mother 3 fan. Someone on the staff has really good taste.
And then the Final Smash was also changed.
Yeah, it's just a processing issue because again, it's not just Smash on the Wii U, it's Smash on the 3DS as well.
Mm-hmm.
And just
making
processing
both
powers
versions
enough.
the same.
Yeah. Well, his Final Smash is better now. I would have liked it to have been the Brawl one just because it's different. But
yeah.
This version of PK Starstorm is a lot better. It's a lot easier to get kills with because it can be controlled.
That's true. I appreciate that as well.
Yeah. Plus, they could just take it from NES, really. So it probably was easier to make as well.
Yeah, cutting costs wherever possible.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then let's move on to our boy, Roy.
Well, maybe your boy. Speak for yourself.
Roy's my boy. I'm glad Roy came back.
Yeah, like Spazzy said, I think Roy kind of needed it. Roy and Lucas needed it to come back more than Wolf.
Lucas definitely did, yeah.
Yeah, well, he comes back in his nicer, more older redesign now.
He's stronger.
He looks a lot better than he did in Melee, that's for sure. Yeah.
And that kind of fits right into what Sakurai says. At least from what I've gathered, anyway.
Yeah, no, he talks about how the model has, gone through changes to show his evolution from Melee. I guess at some point during the design process, we talked about this earlier, that he sort of started looking like a Tails character. Which makes sense, because, the staff, the modelers, the designers are largely people who have worked on the Tales of series.
Yeah. Could have given him a Lloyd ult or something then.
That would be cool.
Been nice little throwback for that.
Yeah, teasing. Was he released before the Lloyd costume, or Lloyd costume came after?
Yeah, same time. No.
Lloyd costume was
Lloyd
in the
came
summer,
after.
or later on.
think it
at
actually,
some point.
yeah, Lloyd came with King K. Rool and Crom like a month after.
Oh, right,
This is,
that huge
actually
upset.
has the date in the interview. July 31st for Lloyd. For
Mm.
Lloyd.
Gotcha.
For
Okay.
Lloyd.
Yeah, so
For
1 month
Lloyd.
later.
Okay, so I guess next is Ryu.
Yep.
For Ryu, there's not really much interesting. It's basically what we've kind of expected. About
Nothing that hasn't been discussed at length
Yeah.
elsewhere.
I mean, like, if you've read our Lucas, Roy, and Ryu joins the battle translation on Source Gaming,
Yes.
you've basically read this part. Okay.
Well,
Because he's
Cloud.
introducing a new system with
yeah.
light, medium, and heavy inputs, which is
Yeah.
not part of Smash to begin with. So it's novel, and I think they mentioned at the beginning of the interview for this section for part 2 that the new characters, they all bring something different to the table. They introduce a new style of gameplay as of yet unseen in Smash. So it is pretty exciting.
Yeah, although I slightly disagree with that. I'm not quite sure what Cloud brings that's totally unique. I mean, yeah, he's got his Limit Gorge, but that's very similar to what some other characters have got, and otherwise then he's just a big sword user.
Well,
At least for me.
he's definitely the best
got
looking
projectile.
character, so there's that. Smash has only had, like Bishona and whatever ugly gorillas like Ike, but yeah, now they have Cloud, so
Wow, rude.
meh, I just tell it like it is. Also, it's 2 a.m., so there's that too.
Yeah.
Womp.
This interview, like, I think I got my hands on it at 12 during my lunch break, by the way.
Mm.
Like, I had to run out and grab it, and then basically I worked.
Yeah.
And then Massman has been translating it and also doing his daily stuff.
Yeah, I do have a life outside of Source Gaming, no offense.
Yeah, and I've been sitting here sipping tea, waiting for the information to roll in.
Anyway,
Truly the hardest job.
so let's move on to Cloud.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Sakurai says, fuck all your console wars.
Yeah, because that was the biggest complaint that I think came about as soon as Cloud was announced. How could this guy get into Smash Brothers? FF7 hasn't ever been released on a Nintendo console.
Yeah, and then people tried justifying saying, but Final Fantasy did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which it's
Final Fantasy
it's
did.
not untrue.
Cloud's and Explorers.
Yeah, he's an Explorers, which just came out. Please buy it. Theatrhythm, he's appeared in Kingdom Hearts, all of which have appeared on Nintendo consoles. So the character itself is no stranger to Nintendo, but yeah, the game for which he is most famous has yet to appear.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are rumors about, the NX port, which I'm skeptical about, but I guess only time will tell.
And then,
Yeah. Maybe after a while.
Yeah.
yeah. And
Well,
then,
so next is Corrin then. Or is there
let me
more on Cloud?
see, was there anything else for Cloud? I don't think. I mean,
No,
a lot of it was a rehash of the Nomura interview, right?
yeah, which we also have posted, so
Yeah.
take a look at that.
Yep, that's also on Source Gaming. We'll include a link in the doobly-doo. Okay, and then next is Corrin. And
Everyone's favorite.
Yeah, Sakurai himself again admits that, yes, there are too many Fire Emblem characters.
yeah.
He just doesn't care.
Yeah, and
he just like the pitch basically says.
that
Yeah.
it's essentially a marketing ploy.
Yeah, and it's a unique character in Smash.
Yeah.
It is. As much as people want to say Corrin's just another sword fighter, he's not. I mean, he's a dragon.
No.
first
It's
and
his
foremost,
long
and he has a
reach.
chain. He's got the reach, and he's got a chainsaw. I mean, there's plenty that's
Yeah.
different about him.
Then like the color variation, he wanted to include more designs, but it was impossible.
That's right. Yeah,
Nope.
he does mention that.
Yeah.
Wonder why it was impossible. Maybe
Probably
it was
just
a time
timing.
thing.
Yeah, time I would imagine is the problem.
Although I think Corrin's colors are better than Robin's.
I agree with that.
Yeah, although Robin has the white mage.
That's
costume,
true.
Yeah,
so it's hard for me to say.
that's like his own. It's like his only good one though.
I mean,
Corrin's got at least quite a few or decent ones, and his dragon form changes its color along with it. So
which is a nice touch.
which is also nice. Yeah.
And then the last character of the part 2 is obviously Bayonetta.
The Queen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he makes mention of dodge offset, and how, you can't really emulate that in Smash because otherwise she really would be broken. Spoiler alert, she's not broken in Smash. Everyone needs to stop whining. I think everyone will get over it eventually. But yeah, thankfully for all of you, dodge offset is not in Smash. But as a huge fan of the original games, I think he did a solid job of recreating that same feel of, going for combos, trying to take down your enemies both stylishly and efficiently.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just need to get better at playing as Bayonetta now, like I want to try and aim to be, because I do love Bayonetta too.
Yes.
And I love the way that she plays in this game.
So
I'm just not good with her.
So much fun. And she does take a lot of getting used to. I'm still learning myself, but yeah, she's worth it. And she also got censored, as many people noticed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the fact that
the back of her leg.
Yeah, exactly. She has the little the diamond design cut into her tights for the Bayonetta 2 outfit.
Mm-hmm.
And then, the Wicked Weaves and all that, how normally she's much more scantily clad than she is in Smash.
Yeah. Well, that sort of stuff was kind of expected to keep the age rating on. I mean, even female Corrin got her thighs covered up in this game as well.
Yeah.
Presumably for age rating.
I've seen people on Japanese Twitter, use the sketch feature to take screenshots and, uncensor her, and it's just... it's really uncomfortable. Because, of course, it began when people realized that a lot of her poses were, semi-erotic, when she gets grabbed or when she falls on the ground, etc.
Her victory pose.
Is it?
I haven't noticed that at all, but I guess I haven't been looking for erotic poses.
You haven't won with Bayonetta?
Oh, no, I was talking about Corrin.
Oh, Bayonetta Corrin, I'm talking, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Bayonetta is naturally...
Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay.
Oh, yeah, she doesn't have to try. She oozes sexual energy. But yeah, with Corrin, because people were allegedly upset that her tights had been... Or they added tights. They used the sketch feature to draw, to overlay, skin tones. And put her in, stupidly erotic poses. But, Twitter gonna Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that covers it for the characters then, right?
Yeah.
So, stages next?
Stages and me costumes, I suppose.
Yeah. So,
oh boy.
In this third part, Sakurai talks about the stages, as you mentioned, so he talks about all of them individually, basically. Mm-hmm. The first part is kind of dedicated to the return stages.
Dreamland, how he made
Peach's
those decisions.
Castle, Hyrule Castle.
Yeah. Well, it's in this section where it really highlights that every stage was meant to be for both versions, and that's why people who are asking for 3DS stages to come as DLC for Wii U, or even is it Sector Z? Didn't he say Sector Z was too similar to stage in 3DS?
Well, he says that Congo, for example, when selecting the return stages, Congo Jungle was already in the game on the Wii U version.
Yeah.
And then Sector C was in the 3DS version?
Well, Corneria's in the 3DS version.
Corneria.
Yeah, Corneria's in the 3DS version.
Why include Sector Z if it's pretty much the same thing?
Yeah, exactly. And and he does mention that, the length of the stage is different. It's, very different.
There are differences, but people wanted Sector Z as DLC for the Wii U only, so that it would have that kind of stage.
Yeah, which I understand it is a little sad not to have it.
Yeah.
And then after, basically it was a process of elimination to get those 3 stages from the Nintendo 64 version.
I think it was a good choice.
Mm-hmm.
Or, a good choice.
Yeah, no, I like them. I would have liked Saffron City as well, but I understand exactly why it didn't appear.
Yeah, I guess the Pokeballs, it would be too many issues, I think.
But yeah, I think the Pokemon coming out of the thing as well, they'd have to they'd look really ugly nowadays because they're all 2D sprites.
Yeah,
and some of them, I think, if I can't remember exactly, but doesn't Charizard come out of there? Or is it Charizard?
Charizard, I believe.
Yeah.
Which wouldn't work. Well, I mean, technically it could work if we want to get specific, because it's not like there's one Charizard.
Well, you could do the day-to-day on Dreamland.
That's true.
Yeah,
I feel like TPC is a lot more protective of their IP though.
Yeah.
So in that sense, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, we didn't see any Pokemon stages as DLC.
No. Surprise,
Which-
surprise.
Surprise. And then speaking of surprise, Pirate Stage came back.
Yeah, that was I didn't anticipate that.
Yeah, like
Pleasant surprise.
I actually made a post on NeoGAF like saying that Pirate Stage wouldn't come back because the 3DS version wouldn't be able to handle it.
Yeah, and you were half right.
And I was half right. So
Yeah.
Sakurai does confirm that the Pirate Stage couldn't work on the 3DS.
Okay. Does he make any mention as to why Duck Hunt was
No.
chosen to...
He doesn't
Okay.
specifically mention Duck Hunt at all in this interview.
Yeah, I think because it
Okay,
wasn't
well,
really considered as DLC, it was something that automatically got included as an update, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, so it might have been like a
Yes,
service
it was
kind
just
of
an
thing.
update. Yeah. I assume that, that must have been why, because the Wii U got an extra stage, so not to leave out 3DS owners.
Mm.
But then they got it for free, so...
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Wii U got the Miiverse stage.
Ah, that's
Oh
true.
yeah, that's true as well.
And plus, it just makes sense to give Duck Hunt their own stage, something to play on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the
Okay,
next
well.
stage, of course, is Super Mario Maker.
Yes.
It was selected for the 30th anniversary of the Super Mario Brothers.
Which makes total sense.
Yep.
Yep.
Um,
And so after that is Midgar.
Yep, Midgar. It talks about the selecting the summons, the kind of the criteria
Yes.
that goes through that. So, Massman, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, definitely. He was looking for a balance, particularly with the coloration of all the different summons. And as most people have probably picked up on, you have Ifrit, who's red, Ramu, who's more or less yellow, or at least the lightning is yellow. Leviathan, you have this giant blue lizard in the waves. Odin, more black. And then Bahamut, which is kind of like a mix of dark blue and black. But I think because you have Leviathan and Bahamut, Shiva wouldn't really fit in. At least that's how Sakurai framed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything was color based, and Shiva being blue and Leviathan being blue,
Yeah.
they clash too much.
Which is unfortunate because I'm a big Shiva fan, but it makes sense.
Yeah, a lot of people are.
And then also
Yeah.
selecting summons so that they would fit in nicely with the background.
Yeah,
Also-
that's one of the reasons that he, I guess, scrapped Fat Chocobo, one of the summons that he considered, but just said that he wasn't able to get it to interplay well with the scenery, so kind of fell through.
And
Yeah, Midgar's quite a dark steampunky level, and Fat Chocobo does not quite fit that same thing.
Yeah,
yeah, it would look kind of out of place.
I think they were going for
Yeah.
something a little darker and edgier, and I don't think FF's comedic aspects would fit in very well there.
And,
Yeah.
Last thing about Midgar is that it was made from scratch. Like, he used reference pictures that he took himself, I guess.
Yeah, which I thought was pretty fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah, I found that quite odd, just simply because of all the stages to make from scratch, when it's got the exact same layout as Battlefield.
Well, the background. I'm
Like-
talking about the...
Yeah, the background
Oh,
itself.
is it specifically the background? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes more sense.
I mean, 'cause
then.
the
I
assets
thought it
are
was
so
the whole
old.
stage.
The data is near
Yeah.
useless at this point.
Okay. Yeah, okay, that makes a lot more sense now, in my mind. Well, on the 3DS, isn't it a flat picture, whereas on the Wii U, it's actually layered and stuff?
I think there is layering in the Wii U version, but yeah, I mean, everything's simplified on the 3DS version.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the last stage,
Yeah, Umbra Clock
yeah,
Tower.
the clock tower. Oh, so fancy.
Yeah,
What a
and then,
stage.
since you're... I don't know that much about Bayonetta, so I'll leave this the snake bit to you, Massman.
Oh, yeah. So, I'm sure many people have noticed the enormous snake. The official name is Inspired. It's one of the not deities, one of the angels in the game. Yeah. I think deities is the technical term. But in any case, you'll notice him floating around in the background. And Sakurai and the team received all of the data from Platinum Games, for the motion, for the characters, etc. But the way Inspired fights in the game is it'll sort of like circle around in the sky, then zoom past across the battlefield, and then come back and just repeat the cycle. But here, since Inspired doesn't come onto the field, it just sort of floats around, they changed the motion such that it was a little more snake-like, and it kind of does this S-curve through the sky.
The more you know.
Yeah, everyone go play Bayonetta.
All right, and then basically the 7th page is just about costumes, and he starts off
Yes.
talking about Gino.
Yeah, so
yes.
interesting tidbit here.
Yeah, so he says that he did want Gino to be a playable fighter, like a character, in Brawl, and possibly Smash 4.
Yeah, in this game as well.
It doesn't explicitly say, but...
Yeah, he frames it in the context of Smash 4.
So,
well, time to get excited, guys.
Yeah, so maybe Smash 5?
This is a world we live in where Gino is actually considered a possibility. A possibility.
He says that Gino would fit in Smash really well.
Yeah.
And
he has guns for hands.
Yeah, his guns for his hands.
Yeah, there's no doubt that he would. It's the fact that Gino is such a one-off character that I think that's the biggest dig at it, because if you're going to have a Mario RPG character, Paper Mario is the one that makes the most sense.
Yeah, but Sakurai does say that Gino is very popular.
Yeah,
like,
he recognizes that.
Like, when talking about older characters, like, Gino's the one that comes up the most.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny, because isn't it... I know in Brawl, the Gino fan base was quite large and quite loud, and now he didn't get in Brawl, and I didn't follow Smash 4 100%, but didn't they, like, sort of slow down and stuff? Like,
slow down a little bit,
There were people who wanted Gino, but... they were nowhere near as loud as many of the other fan bases.
Yeah, it slowed down a little bit, based on what I know, because I basically joined the fan base in Smash 4.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But, seems like, it's not as active.
Yeah.
And I think it's just because they were kind of shot down.
Yeah, well, because
the Gino fan base of...
There was the remnants of music from Super Mario RPG.
That wasn't confirmed.
Well,
so
mysteries abound.
It's not 100% clear. Like, it could very well be, but
at the same time, it's good. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, well, if that's not evidence for anything, and it's a lot of Gino fans will probably using that as a way of saying that Sakurai at least thought of Super Mario RPG for Brawl. But now there's actually definite proof that he thought of Super Mario RPG for Brawl.
Yeah.
And for
Smash
this
is concrete proof.
So...
And I will say one thing is that when he did introduce Gino's costume, he did use that same track, the Mushroom Forest.
Exactly.
So
well,
that's a little
Gino's
bit
theme, essentially
coincidental. I think I don't know.
Well, no, I think it's the way you find Gino. It's where he joins your party, so a lot of people consider it his theme.
Yeah, they associate it with him.
Yeah.
And
it's also probably the best song in the game.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's arguable. It's arguable, but it's definitely the one that I always see thrown around. It's the one that people seem to really like.
It's very common, yeah. There's a lot of good music. The battle theme itself. Dun, 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 dun,
oh, yeah,
that's pretty
good. That's a good song.
Yeah, basically everything that Shimamoto-san touches is gold, so... But yeah, I guess look out for Smash 5, 6 technically. You never know.
We can get Gino.
Yeah, Sakurai has attempted twice now, so maybe third time's a charm.
Yeah.
Just like Takamaru.
Time to add him to the... just like Takamaru.
Yeah.
I guess it's time to add him to the unused fighter list.
Yeah, I'll be updating that list very shortly.
Yeah.
And the next character was the Flying Man, or not the character, the costume, I should say.
Yeah.
And
Flying Man wasn't considered.
Yeah, this is similar to interview that you actually translated before Masked Man, where he talks, he answers some questions about Smash, I believe it's called.
I think that's what it was, yeah. And they ask about the costume or the Flying Man on Magicant.
But he does reveal a new detail.
Yeah, I think he just kind of confirms one of my suspicions, and one that most other people, well, not most, but a number of other people have thought about, is that the Flying Man on the Magicant stage is, as everyone knows, a 2D model, but they originally made a 3D model to go on the stage, because the pink shells are in 3D, etc. So why not have a 3D Flying Man? Ultimately, they decided that the 2D fit the mother feel better, which, it's a valid opinion. But because they had a 3D model prepared and Sakurai had already signed off on it. They used that as the basis for this Mii costume. They repurposed the old Flying Man 3D model, redid the proportions for Mii characters, and then made it into a costume.
So the model lives on.
Yeah, thankfully,
And,
one of my favorite Mii costumes.
He does.
Pretty
he
cool.
does explicitly say that it's not the case that if the 3D model didn't exist, that there wouldn't be a costume.
Yeah, it just was a very fortuitous coincidence.
Yeah,
made it easier for them.
And then he introduces the Inklings.
Yes.
And basically, it was just a plan from the beginning to have their costume release with Splatoon.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, because he was aware of the game since its announcement at E3. I mean, certainly he was aware before that, too.
Mm-hmm.
Was he? Because,
yeah.
I mean,
it says, shitemashi shi. Yeah.
Yeah, no, he was definitely aware.
Okay, then. Interesting.
Okay.
But...
And then...
Is anything else?
We got the Monster Hunter.
Yeah, he just kind of laughs about the big head.
Yeah, he says, make your Mii as tall as possible.
Yeah, to kind of balance it out.
Yeah. And then there's Lloyd. I found the Lloyd exchange kind of humorous.
Oh, yeah, because they said,
yeah.
Did you think about any other Tails characters? And he said, is there any other Tails character worth making into a costume?
and then the guy's like, well, what about this? What about, is it Kurisu? I'm not actually sure. I forgot the English name. I just translated. I'm terrible. But, what about the guy from the first game? And he's like, what about, I think there's only Lloyd.
Yeah, he doesn't really seem convinced, which is amusing. I mean, I suppose now he can kind of throw shade at Namco since he's done with development.
Yeah. Well, he does say that when using content from older games, that it's hard to get approval from the original creator.
Yeah, which is a very valid point.
Yeah, and so and
to be fair, it's not like they're gonna fill it up with loads of Tails characters. I mean, if you're gonna pick one, Lloyd was the one that made the most sense.
Yeah, yeah. I think for a lot of fans, especially in Brawl, a lot of people wanted Lloyd, because of the GameCube release.
Yeah, it was pretty timely.
And then that's about it. There's a final message, basically just thank you.
Yeah, just thanking everyone for their support. Couldn't have done without you, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
that's nice.
That's about it for the interview, basically. So.
Okay. It's pretty. There was I guess the biggest part in that interview for me anyway was the Geno part, obviously.
Yeah,
it is really interesting to see, basically what his design thought was and some of the things that came up during development.
Yeah, it's always really interesting to read his thought process. And that's one of the things that I really like about Source Gaming is that we translate the entire articles, and so
rather than just doing sound bites.
Yeah, and so that way you can try to really get a sense of who Sakurai is.
Yeah, and get a feel for why he makes the decisions he does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As infuriating as they may be for some people.
Thanks so much for listening to us. If you enjoyed this video, it would really help us out. If you liked, and leave a comment below. You can subscribe to us. You can follow us on Twitter. And if you want to see more translations, then please help us out by donating to our Patreon. All of the links will be in the doobly-doo, so thank you again.